The novel Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson addresses the ethical dilemma of teenage depression through the experiences of Melinda Sordino's freshman year of high school. Just before school started, Melinda was raped at a party by a popular incoming senior at her high school, Andy Evans. Before the assault, Melinda was described to have been a good student, have a close group of friends, and enjoyed her comfortable life. But after the party, her friends betray her, she loses interest in any sort of activity, and her academic performance plummets. Throughout the novel, Melinda is burdened with the memory of what happened to her. Andy Evans, the root of her depressive episode, attends her school and is a constant reminder of the tragedy she endured. With no friends to go to and very unsupportive parents at home, Melinda feels unable to tell anyone about the rape and the depression it leaves her with. This triggers her to become almost entirely mute. Although Melinda shows numerous warning signs, such as academic decline, social avoidance, excessive fatigue, lack of interest, cutting herself with paper clips, and biting her lips until they bleed, no one around her recognizes her depression. No one offers her help. Melinda's parents feel her failing grades and refusal to speak are just an act of immaturity and rebellion against them. They never try to reach out to her about why her behaviors have drastically changed. Melinda does make one friend, Heather, at the beginning of her freshman year. Heather is nice to her at first, even though Melinda doesn't really care about anything Heather has to say. But eventually, Heather gets tired of Melinda's dullness and tells her outright that they can't be friends anymore, leaving Melinda feeling more alone than ever. Laurie Anderson chose to include the topic of teenage depression in Speak to strengthen her attempt to inform young adults about rape, its consequences, and the truth about struggling with teenage depression. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, she tells that she was sexually assaulted a month before her ninth grade year and was unable to tell anyone about it until 25 years later. She admits to being isolated and depressed, just like Melinda. The author's personal connection to teenage depression is what led her to share her own experiences through Melinda's story. Teenage depression has been labeled an epidemic by psychologists nationwide. School systems must inform students, their families, and faculty of how to detect, prevent, and eliminate depression in teens in order to give the students a chance at a successful future. Many organizations offer the information and support needed for those unaware of the effects depression has on teens. Some people, however, oppose this approach to solving the dilemma. In the nonfiction text Mental Illness by Lorraine Savage, she mentions that critics of depression education in schools argue that it is only being recognized as an epidemic because people are now labeling their sadness as an illness. These critics think that exposing the teen population to more information about the disease will encourage them to use it as an excuse for not being able to handle their daily stresses. In support of the positive effect of publicizing early detection information to school systems, a study was conducted by an organization called the Teaching Kids to Cope program. The study tested the effectiveness of a group-administered intervention method, teaching the symptoms of and coping skills for depression to students. After a year of implementation, the study produced evidence supporting the effectiveness of a school system providing short-term psychoeducation. A 2004 article by JAMA Pediatrics estimated the prevalence of teenage depression to be as high as 8.3%. This number has increased since then to roughly 20%. JAMA states that depression is a substantial and largely unrecognized problem among teens that warrants an increased need and opportunity for identification and intervention at the middle school level. Teenage depression is still an issue today and has been portrayed through a variety of media in an effort to raise awareness. I'm sure many of you have seen, or at least heard of, the new hit series on Netflix, 13 Reasons Why. This show is an accurate depiction of teenage depression in today's society. A teen, Hannah Baker, develops depression after a series of events similar to those that happened to Melinda Sordino in Speak. Melinda and Hannah are both raped and outcasted by their friends. They also both show warning signs of their depression that go unnoticed by everyone around them. There are too many teens, about 20% to be exact, that are still suffering from depression like Melinda and Hannah. It is likely that everyone knows an adolescent who is suffering from it. A classmate, a sibling, a friend. In the end of the novel, Melinda confronts Andy as he tries to assault her a second time in a janitor's closet. She screams for help, and after the incident is over, Melinda feels free. She feels like she can start fresh and grow from her experiences. But if her school would have taught the students, parents, and staff how to see that she was depressed, she could have been helped sooner. She failed ninth grade and suffered a whole year of isolation, which could have been prevented by earlier detection. In the last chapter, Melinda finally opens up to someone about the past year's difficulties. She finally speaks.